Welcome back to the Play by Play podcast, and welcome to another new edition of the NBA mock draft. This is going to be the third installment that the podcast is having. In today's mock draft, we're going to be looking at a hypothetical situation of if Ace Bailey, who right now is one of the most 50-50 prospects within the NBA draft, manages to fall and slip down the draft board, how will that affect things? What prospects could be potentially taken over him? And what are teams looking at in terms of Ace Bailey as a prospect? Really quick before we get started with the mock draft, I just want to thank you guys so much for your support recently, especially on these mock draft episodes. We have had 2 in a row of them hitting over 1,000 views. Let's please keep it going with the third one. It has been so much fun to review this NBA draft, and we are only about 2 weeks away from the real thing going underway. So I'm so excited to start continuing to push these out for you guys, continue to put more situations out there, and potentially trying to do what we as analysts do, which is try our best to match the professionals in this and try to get into the mind of what they're thinking and who they are going to draft. And just one more thing, do not forget, if you're watching this on YouTube, please feel free to subscribe, leave a like, comment, and share. That is going to be all down below, as well as feeling free to follow us on all social medias, that being TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those ads are going to be down below, and on all of those, you're going to see my instant reaction to breaking news within the NBA and NFL, and you will also never miss whenever the podcast uploads. So it's going to be very important, especially with the NBA draft coming up, with the NBA offseason coming up. We're in the middle of the NBA Finals right now, NFL training camp kicking off pretty soon, so there's going to be so much coming out on this channel throughout the summer. I am super excited about it. And so without further ado, let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and hop back into this with the top 2 picks in order. 2 Texas teams, Dallas Mavericks and San Antonio Spurs. You guys already know where we're going. These first 2 picks are going to become easier and easier, especially when we come close to the draft. It's Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper at both 1 and 2. These 2 are the consensus 2 top players in the draft, and for very good reason. Flagg, especially 5-tool type of player, has really great size. Like we've talked about before, really that bridge type prospect for the Mavericks, kind of between these eras that they have right here. Obviously, he's the future. He's going to be their star player one day, their real franchise guy. But at the moment, could play more of a supporting role alongside veterans like Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and whatnot. Gives them some much-needed scoring, some more length, some great rim protection down low to go together with Davis, Lively, and Gafford. Pretty easy pick right there. And then for the Spurs at number 2, really interested to see how their situation begins to develop over the next couple of weeks, especially as we continue to see more availability from Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kevin Durant in the trade market. Interested to see if the Spurs will be more willing to go out and trade this pick. Interested to see if the Spurs will be more willing to go out and maybe get a different player, like an Ace Bailey, like a VJ Edgecombe, or even maybe like a power forward, like a Colin Murray Boyles, even a Colin Canopal and whatnot, just so it's a much cleaner fit. But Dylan Harper, man, I mean, he has really great size for a point guard, has a lot of great shot creation behind him, offensive juggernaut right there, 3-tier scorer, easily. I mean, there's a pretty big gap between him and the rest of the class. A little bit behind Cooper Flagg, obviously, but pretty easily the number 2 player in his class. And having him, De'Aaron Fox, Chris Paul potentially still, and Stephon Castle on that is an insane guard rotation, and one that I hope that they can figure out how to get that much talent on the court, because Harper definitely cannot be wasted within this situation. But then we get to the roadblock and kind of the whole story and concept of this video. So there have been reports coming out following the NBA draft combine that teams have been a little bit standoffish of Ace Bailey. They like his talent. He's done okay within interviews, but they're a little bit concerned with some of his consistencies shooting-wise. They're also a little bit concerned with how raw he is defensively. The dude puts a lot of pressure out on the perimeter, and it leaves for him getting blown by a lot. And, I mean, especially when you're in a position like the Philadelphia 76ers where you have a lot of really great talent, you're going to be looking for a prospect potentially here that could elevate you further and get you into playoff and potentially finals contention. I mean, they're hoping that obviously Paul George, Joel Embiid can stay healthy. Is that a big if? Yes, of course, but you're obviously hoping for that. You're hoping that Jared McCain comes back from injury just fine. You obviously have Tyrese Maxey, and those 4 alone could make you get, if healthy, can put you into a solid playoff position to go out and contend for a final. So who knows? Are you worried about Ace Bailey's rawness? Are you potentially looking for somebody maybe like a Concanopal a little bit further down the board at small forward, somebody who is a little bit more consistent offensively, has a lot more playmaking ability than Ace Bailey probably does a lot better of a job moving along the perimeter? Are you potentially looking for somebody like, who knows, maybe a Derek Queen, somebody who, for a big, we've never really seen a draft prospect coming out of America move the way that Derek Queen is able to on the perimeter, handling the ball, getting to the hoop. Kasper's Jack Junkus, maybe somebody to fill in at that backup point guard role to get you more playmaking. Or, of course, the top two shooting guard options on the board, which are VJ Edgecombe and Trey Johnson. Both great offensively. Edgecombe definitely a lot better of an athlete, but Johnson has some really solid size and length ability. 3-level score from Trey Johnson at Texas as well. Are you maybe looking at their situation? So, especially with the Sixers pick, they can go in any real direction. It doesn't just have to be Ace Bailey. And if we go ahead and check out CBS mock drafts, which I'm always checking out what these experts are saying, Gary Parrish in a mock draft just a couple of days ago now has Ace Bailey going 5th to the Utah Jazz behind both Trey Johnson and VJ Edgecombe at 3 and 4 respectively. There's a couple of other mock drafts out there. I think the Sports Illustrated was another one that I saw. They had VJ Edgecombe going 3rd to the Philadelphia 76ers and then Ace Bailey going 4th right after that. And that seems to be the consensus. It seems that VJ has a little bit more of a step ahead of Trey Johnson, probably due to his athleticism. But in this case, I'm going to agree with Gary Parrish and go after something that I have been believing in, which is Trey Johnson there at number 3. I think that this is a really, really solid pick for the Philadelphia 76ers, especially if, Jared McCain doesn't quite come back of how he used to be, and you kind of want to fill him in at a more playmaking point guard type role, or maybe even just a spot up shooter. Johnson is somebody that can handle the ball nice. He can play defense on the opposite end. Again, he stands at about 6'6", so has really solid size. 2 inches taller than Edgecombe, who sits at about 6'4". The athleticism lacks a little bit more, but I think that he shoots a lot more consistently. Like I said, decent size to be able to go down low and bully other guards. And he was a force, especially on a pretty bad Texas team, and was able to lead them to some really, really solid wins. So I like this pick. Gives them depth at the guard position, which I definitely think that they need. Gives them some solid length alongside Paul George and Joel Embiid. So, there could be a world where he potentially even fills in a 3 spot. You move him down to the 3, you move Paul George down to a small ball 4, and then you move Joel Embiid there. You get some good athleticism out of that. So he's versatile, has a lot of really great offensive strengths to him, and I think that that's why I would move him to number 3. Number 4, Charlotte Hornets. I know that we've been going to this pick over and over and over again, but to me it just makes too much sense, and that's putting Edgecombe number 4 in Charlotte. Again, Ace Bailey right now, you have Brandon Miller. I would think that they want to begin to start shifting Brandon Miller more to his natural small forward position. He's been kind of playing more of a 2 role over the past couple of years since coming to Charlotte in 2023. So I would think that you would want to move him more. The dude stands at about 6'8", and this way you get a really athletic shooting guard, somebody who's also able to play some solid defense, who I think is going to be able, we've talked about this before, is going to be able to cover up on LaMelo Ball's weaknesses, going to be able to cover up defensively, going to be able to handle the ball at times. Bailey, not really a big-time need, especially when the defense is one of the biggest red flags right now for him. That's definitely a place that Charlotte is going to have to improve at, especially whether LaMelo's on the floor or if he's injured and off of it. And having Edgecombe, having Brandon Miller, having Mark Williams, those 3 alone makes for pretty solid defense all around in Charlotte. Now we move to number 5. And to be honest, if we're talking about this a little bit realistically, this is about where I could see Bailey falling. I think at number 5, the value just becomes too much. It's too much of a steal here for Utah. But I'm also wondering if Utah potentially wants to get, once again, more of a sure thing, more of a likely well-rounded prospect than an Ace Bailey. One guy that is just going to be solid day one and that you're not really going to have to, develop or mold anymore. And because of that, I look at a guy like Concanopal, honestly. 6'7". The dude, again, Pro Football Sports Network, who has done an amazing job with this mock draft simulator, and they finally were able to put some player info into this. He's not the flashiest guy on the board. He's definitely going to have a lower floor or a lower ceiling, I apologize, than Ace Bailey. but I think that his floor is definitely going to be a lot higher. I think that as of right now, he is a lot more polished. He's a polished professional type basketball player, does really, really a great job off of the catch and shoot, has a lot of great shot creation offensively, not just for himself, but for his teammates. The dude can distribute. Like I said, great size of 6'7", so he could definitely get out there, defend on the perimeter. He was great for this Duke team. And when I look at this Utah Jazz team, you kind of have question marks going all around. Colin Sexton, how much more is he really going to be viable for you, especially at an unnatural two-guard position? Keontae George, Isaiah Collier, are those really point guards of the future, right? You have Lauri Markkanen, but you need more around him. Walker Kessler's solid, but is he going to be able to take the next step and potentially fill in as, the number 2, even just the number 3 option on your team? And Knoble is a guy that I could see stepping in right away, pairing along with Markkanen. You could put Markkanen at a 4 where he could be effective with his bigger size. You could move Markkanen to a 4 where he would be able to take more advantage of slower power forwards with his speed and athleticism. And that's why I hate to do it. And again, this is just a hypothetical situation. I'm going to have to put Knoble here. I think that this would be a solid fill-in for the Jazz at that 3 spot where I think that they've honestly struggled a little bit to find a person there. Obviously, you have guys like Cody Williams and whatnot, but those guys haven't gotten a lot of opportunity as of right now and haven't developed a lot. Knoble is a guy that can step in day one. He could start for you, and he could start producing right away. Then you move to the Wizards at number 6. Their situation, once again, is also very interesting. And I caught a lot of slack for taking Knoble at number 6 because a lot of people believed that they had a lot of great depth here. Of course, you had Chris Middleton there, who they just recently traded away, or traded for and traded away Kyle Kuzma for. You have Saddiq Bey there, potentially a Corey Kispert. Is Corey Kispert still on their squad? I just haven't heard a lot from him. Yeah, he still is. So you still have Corey Kispert on your squad. You have a lot of great depth at that small forward position. And I know that I've talked about this a little bit in drafts past of, does Washington consider going out and getting a center? There's potential for it. I mean, I personally wouldn't like that just because I think that Alex Sarr would be better at just being an athletic 5 and a guy who could just finish around the rim, because it's clear that his offensive game is really, really lagging. So you kind of have your fill-in at the 5. You kind of have a lot of depth at the 3. You have guys like Jordan Poole there, but are they really, really consistent? But also, kind of where do you go with this? And I have an interesting choice right here, and that's Kasparis Jackjunas. And the reason why I put him here is because I look at Washington and I see a lot of offensive potential, right? Jordan Poole, Corey Kispert, who's a great shooter, Chris Middleton in there. Saddiq Bey can get a little bit flashy at times. You now have, your full-time center position in Alex Sarr. Get yourself, I understand that they have Bub Carrington, but get yourself a guy who is just a pure European playmaking guard who has a lot of really great size, can work outside the pick and roll, and has shown ability also to go outside and shoot the 3. Maybe not as consistent as you would really like it to be at the moment, but somebody who could run the pick and roll with Sarr, be able to throw him lobs down low, be able to limit your turnovers, which I think is really what Washington was also lacking, is just throwing a lot of turnovers. They have a lot of, immature play style type players. Jackjunas is somebody that I think could really, take care of the ball, especially having the ball in his hands, running the offense, and just distributing to all of your scorers, to the bigs that you have on that squad. He could play at the shooting guard position, so when Poole's off, you could play him next to Bub Carrington. You could play him next to Jordan Poole and put Poole at the point guard position. You could flex it however you want, and I think that Washington's in a position where too much guard depth isn't really a bad thing. Like, I look at the Spurs, and I just think that they have too much talent on their team as of right now, that guard room can get kind of convoluted, but I also just don't know what they would necessarily need because Wemby fills out, because Jeremy Sohan and whatnot is great at the power forward position. Washington is a team right now that just needs to get as much possible talent as they can. And I know that you're saying, well, Ace Bailey's right there, number 6, this would be an absolute steal. But again, a bigger guard getting that playmaking in, working in with Sarr in the pick and roll, distributing to so much of the scoring that you have. I really think that this could potentially work out for Washington. It's different. Again, this draft is going to be different and maybe a little bit unrealistic. I will completely say that firsthand. But I think that this is a situation where Washington could go, and it finally puts Jack Junis in a position in my mock drafts where he's not falling. He's fallen in drafts past that I've had. I've just kind of forgot about him, in the background. He now goes number 6 overall. I think that he has a big range where he could go. I think that Washington is definitely in play here. Number 7, not going to move this along any further. I mean, if Bailey falls to 7, again, a little bit unrealistic. I understand that. But if Bailey falls to 7, New Orleans is taking him, no questions asked. I mean, especially with Herb Jones and Trey Murphy potentially getting traded within the next year, especially with Zion Williamson going through some off the court issues, potentially also getting traded this year, especially with DeJounte Murray getting hurt last year. You need a number 1 option type guy. Bailey is the guy. He's shown to be able to make some really tough shots. He's shown to be able to work out of the post, work off the perimeter. The handle's a little bit loose. The shot's a little bit funky and whatnot, but the dude still has great length. He shows some recovery skills even when he's beat off the dribble. All around, just a solid guy. Just has a little bit of red flags here and there. Let's go ahead and see what Pro Football Sports Network says to have on him. 6'10" brings a dynamic of scoring prowess and impressive length. Bailey shows elite shot making potential. Spin on line or reduce offensive burden compared to his collegiate role. Could rapidly accelerate his efficiently. His capacity to guard multiple positions. Prospective teams should approach Bailey with patience, allowing him time to further polish his all-around game. However, they will immediately benefit from his exceptional length, relentless motor, and natural scoring instincts. I completely agree with that. The dude is an absolute dog. He attacks the rim consistently. Again, you just need to work with him a little bit in terms of the consistency, especially with his outside shot, especially with being able to guard guys on the outside. But he has the intangibles to be able to do it. He has the length. He has the wingspan. I think they have him ranked at 7'1" wingspan. That's ridiculous. Sits at 6'10". Number 7, big time still for New Orleans. But I think that this is honestly something that could potentially happen. Maybe more realistic is 5 or 6 for Bailey, but Gary Parrish has him falling to 5. I don't think that 7 is way outside the possibility. Maybe a little bit, but I don't think that it's too far off. And now I move to a little bit more of a natural draft that we've had in times past. 8 and 9, we've had these picks kind of consistently. That's Jeremiah Fears at 8 to the Brooklyn Nets and Kaman Maluak at number 9 for the Toronto Raptors. 2 guys that just fit in perfectly, especially Maluak to Toronto. I think would feel in really nice, especially if you have Scotty Barnes playing a small ball power forward situation. I think that he could work in with some of the guards, be great in the pick and roll. He obviously has amazing rim protection down low, and especially getting him in with Emmanuel quickly going downhill, throwing lobs to Maluak. You have his defense and his length going along with Scotty Barnes. RJ Barrett can give him some good shot creation. He's going to get some really solid openings on the block. And then Jeremiah Fears, I understand that there are some worries about his potential efficiency and whatnot. I understand that he's a little bit wild at times. But if you're Brooklyn, you just kind of need a guy to move you forward into the right direction. You kind of need one of your top 3 offensive scoring options to kind of step foot and take off. And Fears in this lineup, especially if they're willing to keep Nick Claxton around, having that type of big man there could really benefit him. Could give him an insurance policy. Claxton also covers up some of the defensive deficiencies and whatnot. You still have some pretty solid youngsters on this team as well, like Noah Clowney. Cam Johnson potentially getting traded, so maybe you could get some value there. And Fears could also learn alongside D'Angelo Russell, so you have a veteran presence there to potentially teach him. I think that's a really good spot for him with Brooklyn. That's about his range, 7 or 8, where I could see Fears. You move to 10 with the Houston Rockets. Derek Queen is sitting there. Unfortunately, they do not need a center. And I will admit, I have flirted with the prospect of putting Colin Murray Boyles on this team at 10. 6'7", great defensively, has a lot of great versatility to him. But the dude just moves too much like a power forward. Like I think he would need some versatility to be able to play at the small forward position, and I just don't think that he moves as well as at the small forward position. And I think that's really what Houston needs. And I had this pick last time, and I felt pretty good about it. Looking back on it, I do feel like it could be a little bit of reach. But looking at mock drafts, people have Nika Clifford around 15, 16, 17 range, just outside the lottery. There are some lotteries that I've potentially seen where he's around 14 or 13. So is 10 a little bit of a reach? Yes. But when you're a team like Houston, once again, similar to the position that Philly is in, similar to the position that San Antonio is in, you need guys to be able to step in right away, and you need guys to be able to immediately fill in the holes that you have. And for Houston, that's experience, that's shooting, and Clifford can do all that. Senior coming out of Colorado State, I understand it wasn't the most competitive conference that you would see him in, but 4-year guy is just does everything all around well. Defends well, shoots well, handles the ball, doesn't turn the ball over a lot. Is great in the post, is great in the perimeter, showcases solid athleticism. There's not really a big hole to his game. Now, is he exceptional at all that? Is he as exceptional of a shooter as Konkonopoulos is? No, probably not. Is he as great of an athlete as VJ Edgecombe is? No, probably not. Is he going to be the generational type star that like a Cooper Flag or even potentially a Dylan Harper could be? No. But he is a guy that could fill in your rotation immediately. He could play all around, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, wherever you want him to be. Could cover up some of the defensive deficiencies that guys like Jalen Green have and whatnot. Could take the ball out of Fred VanVleet's hands at times, I would think, with his shooting ability, which would be nice because VanVleet is either all on or all off, so you would need a guy to fill in there. I just think that overall, again, it's a little bit of a reach, and you would obviously like better value for this pick, but it's the safest pick, and it's the one that gets Houston better right away, and I think that that's all they need to focus on as of right now. 11, Portland Trailblazers. Sorry for talking like a broken record, but Colin Murray Boyles, again, it's just easily the pick here for them. I think this is great value at 11. I would entertain Austin Newell or Carter Bryant, but you're getting a guy at 6'7" that could play both. He steps in next to Donovan Clingan, gives you some great work on the block, solid rim protection, great defense, great length to him as well. What's his wingspan rated here on Pro Football Network Focus? 7'1". 7'1". The dude is a high motor, attacks the basket aggressively and consistently. Again, you obviously would love to see him potentially move out to the outside, extend his range, and be able to shoot from the outside. Is that the most realistic as of right now? I don't know, because he just did not shoot that well at South Carolina, but is definitely is kind of that older, more natural power forward guy. But I think that that's what could fit in, and especially with offensive guys like Shaden Sharp, you have Anthony Simons, you have Scoot Henderson, all these guys who are also going to be able to work out of the pick and roll and get a guy like Colin Murray Boyles in a solid situation. I definitely think that across the board, it'll just make for the best starting lineup. Chicago Bulls, they get spoiled a little bit here because Derek Queen falls all the way to number 12, and that makes me sad because Derek Queen is definitely one of my favorite prospects within this draft. I think the dude is very, very talented. I mean, the way that he can put the ball on the floor with his size and his ability, especially if he can develop a three-point shot, which there is the potential for that. The dude shot 75% from the free throw line. He has shown some ability to shoot from the outside. If he can consistently build that shot, I really think that the dude could be a serious, serious problem. Of course, the defense is a little bit lacking as well, but the athleticism, the perimeter movement just need to improve a little bit. But the dude's a monster on the block. He has so many great post moves within his bag. He's able to take slower guys off of the dribble. So offensively, this is just great, especially with Chicago wanting to move off of Vooch. You get some value for Vooch, put some other guys around him, and especially alongside length like Patrick Williams. You have playmakers at hand like Kobe White and Josh Giddey, once again, to play with him in the pick and roll, maybe even a little pick and pop at the mid-range point and whatnot with him. It just opens up things for Chicago, and I think that they potentially get a top 6, top 5 prospect here at number 12. But unfortunately, if Queen doesn't get picked at around 5 through 8, unfortunately, this is kind of what's going to happen to him because Houston, Portland, they don't need a center. I think that Toronto honestly would value Malawak a lot more than Queen just because of his defensive capabilities. Nets don't need a center. Bailey or Pelicans at 7, maybe, but they do have Yves Misi. So, he's really hoping to go within this, 5 or 6, really, maybe even 8 if Brooklyn's looking to move off of Nick Claxton. So 5, 6, 8. But if he doesn't get that, he's probably going to fall. But I think that Chicago is going to end up getting a huge steal with him at number 12. Number 13, Asa Newell to the Atlanta Hawks. Again, another team that could just use a really, really solid power forward. Luckily for them, Newell offers a little bit more size at 6'10" than Colin Murray-Boyle is 6'7". But these two guys are pretty much big-time clones of each other. Newell brings a lot of really great rim protection as well. I think what he does better than Boyles is he's able to run the floor a lot better, definitely has a lot more athleticism going up and down. Whereas Boyles works definitely a lot better off of the block and a little bit more of a half-court style offense. So, here you plug Newell in next to Jalen Johnson, next to Capella. We've talked about the length all day being super important. You get really great rim protection. Again, you would like to see him stretch out his shot to the three-point line. That's not really something that he does really well, at least at the moment. But the dude is going to be solid right away, going to be able to run and pick and rolls with Reece Shea, with Trae Young. Is going to be able to cover up the defensive deficiencies from Trae Young and give you some much-needed size in that starting lineup. You still have Onyeka Okongwu, I believe, still on that team as well. So amazing athleticism with those two guys starting in the front court as well. With Jalen Johnson at small forward, the athleticism there would be amazing. You're going to be able to get some great contests on jumpers. And, again, solid value there at 13. And then you get to the Spurs at 14. This is another pick that's just so difficult to choose because you could really go anywhere. And San Antonio really probably needs to trade this pick because I just don't see a guy that they pick here really playing right away. Danny Wolf interests me from Michigan. I think it would be a little bit of a reach. Tankathon is Carter Bryant. They also have guys like Jace Richardson and Liam McNeely behind. Igor Denman could be interesting, but you just don't need another guard. They just picked a guard. Both Finkelson and Boone have McNeely. Oh, Cameron Salarino has McNeely as well. Parrish has Queen. Obviously, he's not available, but McNeely at 15. It would be a forward. And it would either be probably Liam or Carter Bryant. Bryant also sits at 6'8", is a 7-foot wingspan. McNeely 6'9". McNeely's more of a shooter. Bryant's more defense. What would they really need? You also have Noah Singway here, but he's just a little bit too raw for me. There's potential here. He's from France, so you could pair him with Wemby potentially. But he's just so young. He reminds me a lot to John Salon and what he had coming over. You know what? I'm going to side with the experts on this one. I'm just going to go Liam McNeely. I like that because of the shooting, and I think that going to UConn, you kind of grow with a little bit more of a mature type style game. So here for McNeely at 14, I like that pick. I like that. I think it gives them some solid length, gives them some shooting that they need, allows them to be able to flex. So maybe trade away Harrison Barnes, maybe trade away Keldon Johnson, and McNeely can really play kind of like Corey Kispert does on the Wizards, just be a really, really solid three-point shooter from the outside and also be able to play some defense. So that's honestly all that I have for you guys today. Again, these mock drafts have been a little bit quick, but they're so much fun. They're so much fun to do, and especially with the draft coming up in the next couple of weeks, we're going to get closer and closer to more concrete answers, obviously. So let me know what you guys think about that mock draft. Again, a little bit of a hypothetical situation, a little bit unrealistic, but there have been reports and there have been mock drafts having Ace Bailey falling down to 5 or 6. So I don't think that 7 is too crazy, but let me know what you guys think. Do you think that there's potential for him to actually fall that far? What do you think would be the reasoning for him to fall that far? Do you think that any team would trade up for him? Where do you think that he could potentially go as of today? For me, I think he's definitely been pegged down a little bit. So I could see him within that 4 to 6 range going to either Charlotte, Utah, or Washington, especially Washington. If he falls to 6, that would be an absolute steal for them. But, you guys also said that they have a lot of forward depth. So just let me know about that down below. Also, feel free to subscribe, leave a like, comment, share with your friends, do it all. The support on the last couple of episodes have been absolutely amazing. And as always, go ahead and follow us on all social medias. All the ads are down below in the description, like always, so that you can never miss when the podcast uploads, so that you can never miss any of my reactions to breaking news. That are also going to be on the YouTube shorts on this channel that I've been posting recently. And without further ado, guys, that's kind of all I have for you guys today. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. I hope that you guys have an amazing, amazing week. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.